Hello everybody and welcome back to another oral history of Team Lightning. Before we start, a quick apology. I apologize there was no of our beloved, or my beloved, lo-fi hip-hop radio beats on the last two episodes. Forgot to add them in. One more thing I do kind of want to address, and I said this a couple times, but I feel like it's something I should reiterate a little bit more. These videos are mainly meant to be watched in the background. I add a visual component for the people who want it, but it's really just there as like supplement for people who really want to just focus entirely on this, which is fine. But I think it's better as a, audio tool in the background because there really isn't enough visually going on, at least in my opinion, to really keep your interest. But if you are watching it visually, bonus applause. I'm glad you're really invested in a certain way. And if you have any questions about it, either leave them as a comment, or if you know me personally and get in touch with me personally, just go ahead and hit me up. I really like it when you ask questions because it's something I feel like I could probably reiterate on in later episodes. I think maybe towards the end of each arc, I'll do a video going over every question I ever got. Even if I already answered it, I can go over it again since that's something other people might not understand. So if something like that's interesting to you, just go ahead and let me know. So today we're going to be going over the classification of ships. As you can see, it's already typed out because I'm still getting used to this keyboard and I did not want to embarrass myself typing this all out again for you guys. So yeah, let's just go ahead and let's hop right into it. So the classification of ships in Team Lightning. The main reason you want to know this is just for simplicity's sake. I kind of held off, so even though during the First Great War we only named a couple ships, I kind of might have heard me, I kind of was like about to call like what they wore by letter. This will be a little bit more important later on, because once you get used to the letter system, it's much easier if I just say, oh, it's an EF class ship, and you're like, oh, that's like a big ship, you know what I mean? When I'm just naming ships like rapid fire. It'll be a bit easier to kind of understand. So I'm going to give you the name of the ship, what it generally is, and how many people it generally hold. So our A-class ship is going to be our dogfighting ship. When you're in space and you want to go take out a small target, or you want to go attack. And Snagget's not really as practical for attacking an enemy ship, but still pretty useful to have quite a few dogfighter ships on your ship. That's going to be about 1 to 2 people for a dogfighting ship, because you might want to fit 2 people on for like a gunman or something. A to B is going to be your typical family vehicle. Think your Honda Accords, space wayfaring vessel. It's going to be about 2 to 8 people. B bus is going to be 8 to 80. And then BC is going to go ahead and that's going to be our transport ship, 8 to 500. A quick little note about BC transport ships. So once we go over the tragedy of the Jagged Planet, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the more usages for energy. I know we already had an entire video on energy. I might have covered it in that, I can't remember, but there's a lot more usages for energy than just what we covered in that video. And we will actually go over those when we get to Tragedy of the Jagged Planet. Towards the end of it, we'll talk about the effects of what happened after it. But BC transport ship is generally considered to be... one of the things that came because of energy is a portal system, essentially. And I don't really want to go over it too much, but basically BC transport ship is the smallest ship you could possibly fit a portal on, technically. What we're going to go over a rather famous ship that actually is kind of renowned for being able to have a portal on it, even at really low levels, which we'll get to down here, which is actually the Phoenix. Kind of spoilers if you're looking at it visually. It's supposed to be B. C is our living ship. This means this is a ship you could actually, theoretically live on. Not for a permanent amount of time, which is our next one, CD permanent ship, but you could live on it for, a little bit of time. CD, our permanent ship, is going to be 10,000 to 100,000 people that could potentially live on it. When I'm talking about the population numbers, I'm not necessarily saying that this is the comfortable amount you could fit on pretty comfortably, nor am I saying this is the max amount of people you could fit on, if you were to fit every square inch. It's kind of just this is the max amount of people you could theoretically fit on if you were really trying to fit everyone in, but still not have it be a safety hazard. You know what I mean? So 100,000 people, it would be pretty dang crowded, really crowded, but technically it's still livable, not a hazard. D is going to be your flagships. These are going to be the majority of the really big ships you're going to see in space battles. And usually it's going to be a mix of flagships and permanent ships. You're going to make up your main, artillery force when you're barraging planets and stuff. And a flagship is going to be 100,000 to 2 million passengers. DE, our destroyer, and let me go ahead and let me add another famous ship you guys might have heard of if you were paying attention to the First Great War. D is going to be Hope as one of our flagships. DE, a destroyer, is 2 million to 100 million people, so you can see we're already expanding really quickly. I mean, obviously the jump from 100,000 to 2 mil was a lot, and now we're going from 2 mil to 100 mil. E, Moon-like, means it's moon-like in shape, which I'm sure you can guess where I got that one from. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be shaped like a moon, it can still be a ship-looking ship, it's just really, really, really big. And that's 100 million to 1 billion living on that. EF is going to be our planet eaters, meaning they're capable of, literally eating a planet and stripping down its resources. Is going to be 1 billion to 10 billion people living on it. F is going to be our planet-like ship, which is going to be 10 billion to 1 trillion people living on it. And FG is going to be our sun eater ships, which are going to have 1 trillion to 100 trillion, which is a lot, obviously. And you're probably going to be curious, where are we going to be getting, 1 trillion to 100 trillion people? That'll be later in Arc 2. So let's actually go over our famous ships, and then we're going to call it a day. A is the SR Dogma, which stands for Space Rangers Dogma, which is their, default dogfighting ship. B is the Phoenix, which is the main ship that Team Lightning's going to use. And like I kind of hinted at, is renowned for actually being able to use a portal, despite only being, a B classification of ship, which should be possible, but thanks to a little feat of engineering by the ship's owner, it was able to do that. D, Hope, is our flagship from the First Great War, you guys might remember. It was the only ship to survive the Battle of Two Moons, which was the first battle the humans, the United Alliance / the humans fought with darkness. EF is the Damnation of Stars, which is the Darkness's kind of flagship. Very, very strong. I'm sure as you guys remember, that was the huge thorn in the United Alliance's side. So you can imagine anything bigger than that is going to be kind of insane, considering just how overpowered, the Damnation of Stars was against literally everything. It's going to be pretty hard to beat that. F is Excalibur, which is actually my favorite ship of all time. It's Enigma's flagship, which Enigma you're going to see later when we get into Arc 3. And when we start Arc 2, I'm probably going to go on a little, side series, maybe, or it might just be, 1 episode, or 1 or 2 episodes, depending on how much I want to go into it, about the Null Sector, because Null Sector is an entire another sector of space where there's a ton of history in there about these, 3 main factions fighting over control. One of them's Enigma. And we're going to see the majority of the Null Sector factions in Arc 2, and then we're going to see the rest in Arc 3 with Enigma and the rest of those people from the Null Sector. And I guess technically Arc 3 might be better for Null Sector history. I'm going off on a tangent, but we get there when we get there. Another thing I want to talk about for this series is, I don't know if I've mentioned, I'm pretty sure I have, but technically there's 9 arcs, or 10 arcs, kind of, because Arc 2 can split up into 2 different arcs. But for the most part, I think we're going to shorten that down to 6 arcs to talk about. Because a lot of the arcs are more Legends lore, or they're mainly Legends lore. That was meant to fill in time gaps, kind of. Because a lot of the arcs have time gaps in between them, or just major periods where I really don't know that much. And that's where you kind of get these almost filler arcs. And I feel like for the sake of this series, we might just go over those a little bit. And we're going to try to shorten it down to 6 arcs. And I think that'll be a bit more manageable to actually get done. FG is going to be our last famous ship, sorry about the tangent there, which is going to be the Arachnophobia, which is the biggest ship ever, which actually comes out in Arc 2, which doesn't get surpassed ever again, but maybe in Arc 7 or something. Arc 7 non-filler arcs, which would be Arc 10 or Arc 11 with the filler arcs. I still haven't decided how I'm going to collapse the arcs like that, because originally, if you uncollapse all the arcs, there was a ton. Arc 1 was 3 arcs, Arc 2 was 2 arcs, Arc 3 was 3 arcs again. There was a ton, and I started collapsing them, and I'm thinking about collapsing them again. And the point when I collapse the arcs together, because the arcs are totally just decided by me, I just decided that would come over, it'd be a significant period of time that significantly ended. The point of collapsing them was showing that they kind of took place together and they had importance to each other. And so I think it would make sense to collapse some of the arcs into each other. But I'm still deciding on that. I don't really have to worry about it until Arc 4. So again, we get to it. Sorry about the side tangents. But the final one we have is the Arachnophobia, which is our one and only Sun Eater type ship. And if there's ever any bigger than that or any other FGs, I'll be sure to tell you. Because G would be crazy. I don't even know what G would be. It'd be 100 trillion to something. So thank you for watching. I know I haven't really been on the daily upload grind. I've had some other stuff I had to do, but I'm going to try to get back to it, and hopefully my goal is I want to finish Arc 1 before the weekend ends this weekend. Which, if you're watching these after all the videos are uploaded, doesn't really mean anything to you, but I figured I'd just say it anyways. Or Arc 0, sorry. I want to get through Arc 0 before the weekend ends. And then from there, probably take a little bit of a break. I want to make an announcement video about some stuff with this series specifically. And then we're probably going to go on into Arc 1 and see how long Arc 1 takes. At the current point in time, like I said, I'm feeling pretty confident about starting Arc 1. My worry was that once I got through all this, I'd be kind of burnt out. And I was kind of burnt out, honestly, from all the videos I uploaded, but I'm feeling reinvigorated again, and I feel like I can get through the rest of the videos with this reinvigoration, then take a break, and then get back to Arc 1, and then see how much of Arc 1 I can get through without feeling like I want to die. But thank you for watching, and hope you are intrigued. Like, I'm really, really glad if people are actually watching this and are actually really enjoying it. And I understand that it might feel kind of... I don't really understand what the reason why you're watching this, I guess. I'm not trying to come at you or anything, but like I made this specifically not just for me. Obviously, I did make it for me, but I also made it for other people to watch, and I'm really glad people are, hopefully gonna want to watch it. I don't say are watching it, because I don't know. But I'm glad people are hopefully gonna want to watch it. Way too many things. And I don't know. I'm glad people are intrigued, I guess, would be your main reason for wanting to watch. Or maybe you're just watching it for me, in which case I'm happy, but I hope really some people are really genuinely intrigued by it and want to know more. And see you next episode.